So there's this fat comedian who lives in the UK, Sofie Hagen, and she's one of these fat acceptance people who always says the most ridiculous shit on Twitter. But the Cancer Society of the UK the other day released a tweet saying that obesity leads to cancer, and next to smoking, it's one of the number one things that contributes to people getting cancer. And this itself enraged her to the point where she's like, "How could you do this? You must remove this tweet. This is damaging for people, their mental health, and this, and that. There are plenty of studies showing that you could be healthy and fat, blah blah blah. All this stupid nonsense." And you look through her Twitter, and she's always pushing like, eat tons of sugar, do nothing, sit around, be a lazy sloth. This is awesome, accept your fatness, right? It's like, this is not helpful. That attitude is definitely contributing to people being fat and getting more stigma. But she she raged at this, and I don't really blame her because there's like doctors feeding this propaganda into people. Like, I was reading this article from the BBC, and I heard about this a few days ago when people were making fun of it on Twitter. But the BBC did a story about this because she apparently writes for them, and one of the doctors, Dr. Flint, said that he thought the campaign was problematic because it promoted the idea that individuals were to blame for obesity and that it was easily controllable. So, individuals are definitely a huge factor into why they are obese. There are other factors involved, but they are definitely a huge factor. Now, you know that obesity is caused by many factors. There are many different issues in society that contribute to the weight status. It's not about blaming the individual. So, it's this constant, it's not the individual's fault. It's not this. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Here, take these drugs for your mental health. This will fix you up, right? And like, this is one of her responses. Like, society viewing fatness as a negative thing is a thing that kills more people than the cancer that you might get due to maybe something to do with you possibly weighing more than a certain weight, possibly, maybe. It was all disjointed, this tweet she wrote in a series of tweets. So she's saying fatness, the negative view of fatness, what kills more people. But really, I don't see that many fat people offing themselves. Maybe, I guess, but they usually die from like heart attacks and shit. So I think you're probably wrong about that. But really, if fat people don't want to get stigmatized and shit as much, really what needs to happen is we need to get rid of government-run healthcare, because the UK, when everybody's paying into a system like the UK has, then some people will just ultimately use more or less than other people, and fat people are going to need more care. So they're going to need more tax money going towards them, and people are going to get bitter about this over time, so you're going to get more people mad at you. So if it wasn't like it is now, it was more privatized, then people wouldn't give a shit if you eat yourself to death, right? And, it's like, go ahead, do what you want. But when it's like this, it's people will get more mad at you. And a lot of the reasons why people are fat, or more fat today too, you could help blame the government as well. It is definitely the individual, but the government subsidizes things like wheat, corn, and meat, right? Typically. So these things, like corn, you get a bunch of sugar. Wheat is not necessarily good for you. So people eat an abundance of this shit. So the government should just not be subsidizing any of this, because this is driving more people to be obese, right? And the fact that they can not really worry about paying into the healthcare system. They always think, "Oh, I'll just get liposuction." Like here in Canada, if you're depressed, you can get liposuction. So they always have something to fall back on. Whereas if they didn't, they'd be like, "Okay, maybe I need to take care of myself." And if they took care of themselves, they'd be less depressed. They wouldn't need as many antidepressants like the doctors. They're saying this bullshit don't blame the individuals want to do, they want to keep their job. They want to keep diagnosing people with this and with that, so then you can keep coming back to them for more shit. So it's all a fucking racket. So a lot of this shit would be solved. A lot of a lot of shaming wouldn't happen if just the government was not involved. And shaming is another thing that we do need to use, because it's like this Cancer Society thing. They're trying to promote like a ban on soft drinks and this and that, right? And that doesn't work either, right? This nanny state bullshit. Oh, we're just gonna make it so you can't buy these big soft drinks, or you can't do this, you can't do that. That never works, right? Shaming does work. Like, let's stop accepting people that are destructive. And if somebody's destructive in your life, stop enabling it. You have to cut off contact with them. The people in her life that love her should be like, hey, I'm no longer gonna have any contact with you until you start taking care of yourself, right? And this is what should be done for like single mothers and all these other situations. Like, somebody's a single mother that you should be like, hey, like, I'm not really gonna interact with you anymore. And we need to use these shaming tactics more, instead of using the state to come in, try to deter people with all these other things, right? We just need to take away the incentives for people to be the way that they are. And there are, like, the doctor is right in some sense, there are many factors, but there is, even though we have all these incentives saying, like, eat this fatty food, and, like, there's sugar in everything we eat, there is still the part of the individual who decides, like, okay, I'm going to eat less of this. I'm going to go run today. If you look through this girl's Twitter, it's like, eat sugar every day, sit around, be lazy. She is promoting, and she's going to get a heart attack soon, and she's going to regret it, and she probably does regret it. Like, there's no way she feels good about herself. Like, don't lie to yourself. You can lie to us, but you can't lie to yourself. So, people need to stop listening to some of these health professionals or these psychologists being like, no, it's not your fault. Not that, because they're just making you more dependent upon them, right? And these guys work for the government. They want you to be dependent upon them. They want you to always have to go back to them. They want the people to be fat and stupid and dependent, because the more that we don't need them, the smaller that the government is going to get, the less power that they are going to have. So, shame fat people, right? Shame them. And, this is better than making laws, like nanny state laws, being like, okay, you're skinny, but you can't have this big drink because this fat fucking bastard over here is drinking too much, and he's going to cost us all a lot of money in healthcare, right? And that is the case, right? So move to a more privatized system. The people will be less at odds with each other. And this goes for many different things, like welfare, all this shit, because people will always use different proportions. And people, we are tribalistic by nature. We see each other as groups. So it'll be like, my group uses this much, this group uses that much, this group uses this much. So the whole state, the way the state is fabricated, the way that, we have this kind of socialist, this mixed economy, is what really creates a lot of the strife, a lot of the division that we have in society, a lot of the hate. There will always still be hate and some tribalism and stuff without the government, but it'll be much less pronounced, and people will be more incentivized to work with each other than work against each other, because they can't use the power of the state to enact their morals or their ideals of what is best upon you, to change you, right? And, we would all just be better off. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe, and have a good day. And check out my links below. See ya.